Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Becoming a Christian Millionaire podcast with Blessing. Today is episode 20. And as you know, this is the podcast where I share my personal development journey with you on my step and on my journey of becoming a millionaire. How to Become a Millionaire in 12 Months by Simon Somerville. Today I'm continuing from chapter 4, and we're going to be talking about financial investments. So the author says that we must consider the fundamentals of personal financial investing. And so he talks about investments and why they're really important and increase your chances of accumulating wealth. He then talks about different types of investments. He says there are short-term investments, and the short-term investments include things like bonds and stocks. So then he goes into detail to talk about what bonds are and what stocks are. Okay. So we know that bonds, he says, with bonds, he says investing in bonds is like lending money to the corporation that issued the bonds. So he says the United States is one such bond. He talks about the treasury, how in the United States they have treasury bills, and he says if you buy treasury bills, you'll be repaid after redeeming your bond certificate. So I know that with treasury bills, they exist in different countries. In fact, and it's supposed to be a more secure way of investing. So he talks about that. Then he talks about stocks. And then he says that this is frequently referred to as equity investments. And this is where your money is invested in public firms. So think of bonds as where your money is invested in the government, and then stocks as where your money is invested in publicly listed companies. Says that the most profitable financial investments, he goes into that, and it basically says that the investor's capability is also a significant factor in determining this. In other words, how knowledgeable you are will determine how successful you are in investing. He then moves on to talk ended and closed ended are slowly but steadily making a significant entry into the world of financial investments. So he then goes into mutual funds. He says, while the risk remains great, these investment vehicles have gained considerable popularity. So he says, despite the inherent dangers, these funds are gaining favor among the investing public. So he talks about mutual funds. And then he does caution us that the investor will still require higher and more prudent returns on their assets. And he says one of the benefits of mutual funds is that with a mutual fund, you should seek to. He says this is the benefit that mutual funds seek to deliver. In other words, they seek to deliver higher and more prudent returns for their investors. He then moves on to talk about tax free wealth. And he says the objective of tax free wealth is so that you can basically build massive wealth. Okay. So he says if you want to improve continuously, you must commit to continuous learning. So, as somebody who wants to increase your finances, become financially free, he basically recommends that you should always continuously be learning. He then goes into different um, strategies for achieving tax-free wealth. And then to save time, he gives a few, he mentions or gives a commentary on a few of them. Number one, he says, your money is yours, not the government. So he wants you to remember that. Number two, he says that a tax code is written so that it permanently reduces your taxes. And then he goes into a bit more detail about that. Then rule number three, he says the quickest approach to increasing your cash flow is to lower your taxes. So he talks about how you can do that. Then number four, he says using your tax savings generates significant passive income. And then he says the objective is to establish your business, earn money there, then convert it to passive income and invest the additional funds in cash flow investments such as real estate. you would then want your money to work more diligently than you do. Okay. He says you do not wish to exchange hours for money. And that is so true. When you start off in business, at first you may be exchanging hours for money, but he says once you get that money, you and I need to save and invest that money, and then invest it so that it can generate passive income, which we can then use to invest in things like real estate and so forth. So he says tax free wealth is an excellent resource that will inspire you to read more. And if you immerse yourself in these ideals, he says you can achieve financial security and actual riches. And I'm going to leave it here where it says take control of your education. And he recommends that you and I spend 30 minutes every day on financial education, 30 minutes every day. And he says if we do, we will see the result. He assures us that we cannot entrust our financial future to another person. We must assume responsibility, and only then will positive things occur. So I'm going to leave it there. And then tomorrow, God willing, I will finish off on the last section, and then I will conclude by giving you my feedback as to whether I think, as to what are the strengths of the book, weaknesses of the book, what I think are the key nuggets that we can take away, and most importantly, would I recommend this book? Would I recommend this book? Stay tuned for tomorrow, and I will talk to you about whether I would recommend it or not. Take care and good night. God bless. Bye bye.